Hey everybody, Dacia Coffey, and welcome back to the Marketing Blender Show. This week is a special one for both bosses and marketers alike. So today's topic is why B2B marketers are ticked off and burned out in 2025. And wow, I hope you hang out with me on this, because not only am I going to shoot straight with you, I'm going to give you a few surprises, and I'm definitely going to give both leadership and marketers advice on how to fix this. So let me start off with, did you know the average tenure of a chief marketing officer is only between 2 and 2.5 years? And the same thing is true for marketers. And same thing is true especially for B2B marketers, because it's so doggone difficult. That means there's no management, no mentorship truly focused on the science and the return on investment of that role. And it can breed a lot of problems. So let's dive into that. Let's talk about, why are marketers so frustrated? So I have a whole list, imagine that. Number one, marketers feel, and I would argue that they are being set up for failure in multiple different ways. So number one is that in the background, marketing needs to grow up. And I don't mean the marketers need to grow up. I mean the profession of marketing. What colleges are teaching marketers 20 years ago as well as today is not cutting it. It is too tactic driven, and now the pace of change in marketing is faster than any other area of business. And so marketing needs to be able to keep pace with conversations with finance, and then around return on investment, and even around business resilience, in addition to managing the tactics. So what does it take to be able to do that? Marketers have got to start learning and being taught and mentored how to create a translation from revenue and goal achievement to those marketing metrics. Now, I've done an entire ROI broadcast on this one, and so I hope you check that out, because it gives you that translation. But it's got to become systemization. Marketers need to be taught and enabled to build a revenue and scaling system. And that is not currently how leaders or doers are thinking about marketing today. Everybody has a tendency to go, should I be on LinkedIn? Should I do more video? Should I post more frequently? What's happening with shorts? What's happening here? Should we kill or keep this trade show? Guys, these are tactics. Even if you're calling them strategies, they're tactics, and they have nothing to do with whether or not you're going to achieve your goal. You're simply hoping that by launching this stuff, it relates to revenue, but you should have a system to prove it out, benchmark it, and become data driven. So marketers are being set up for failure. Next is that marketing does have the fastest pace of change. Now, why does this actually matter? Well, first of all, in order to be effective, they've got to stay on the latest tactics and changes happening, especially in digital marketing. And there's not a whole lot of classes on this. This is literally learning by doing, right? Like constantly balancing success and failure. And there has to be a paradigm shift around failure is learning. It is not winning or failing. It is winning or learning, and learning that produces resilience and outcomes, because we're focused on revenue generation and not 1 month, whether it's good or bad, or 1 week, whether it's good or bad. That is not how marketing works. So yes, you should be able to pull the levers of marketing month to month, but we should be thinking big picture and holistically. Now, the other reason that the pace of change is so painful is that marketing has increasingly become the land of specialists, because they have to be. Let me be crystal clear with you. A graphic designer is not necessarily going to be a great digital marketer, and it is highly unlikely that a talented analytical digital marketer is going to be a brilliant artist, even if you're giving them tools like Canva. It's not who they are. Your media team, which is photographers and video editing, they're different than your folks that are amazing at email or marketing automation or nurture, right? This is a land of specialization, because algorithms change, and because we need different gifting, skill sets, and points of view to really maximize the insanely fast pace of change that's happening. So it's a land of specialists. So all of you guys out there, thinking that you're going to write a job description that says you need to be proficient in Adobe and all of the graphic design, you need to have some video editing, you need to be able to do digital marketing, you need to be able to do social media, you need to be a writer, you need to know how to deploy AI, and you need to do sales enablement. Really? Those are very, very different skill sets, and marketers are angry, and most of them are trying very, very hard to stay on top of it. But I want to give advice to you marketers as well as you bosses. Stop it. You can't. You can't. You've got to figure out where is your primary value and the value that your organization needs, and double down on that, and then identify the resources that you need to fill those gaps, or let that stuff go. Because I promise you, if you are under investing in the tactic and skills it needs to create return on investment across a wide band of different tactics, everyone loses. Everyone loses, both the doer as well as the outcomes, and nobody wants that, right? Okay, couple other things. Leadership, especially privately held companies, you guys, tell them what the real goal is. Tell them what the real goal. Too many leaders are really holding the numbers close to their vest. Number one, you are not teaching your team, who is responsible for revenue growth and lead generation and the future health of your company. You're not teaching them business savvy information, right? Business intel that they can then inform. You're missing opportunities for mentorship. Trust me that you want your marketers to be great business people. And that means sharing the numbers and sharing the guiding principles that you use to understand whether or not your company is healthy. So a lot of times marketing is left out of the numbers conversation. Why? I can't fathom. And maybe it's because you're hiring a young marketer, so you feel like that's need to know information. Well, they might need to know, considering you just challenged them with supporting and activating top line revenue growth. I would call that need to know basis. Another thing, marketers are being left out of the sales conversation. The world goes too fast, and especially in business to business, these selling environments are too complex, meaning marketing is also complex. The handoff has got to be clear. What is marketing responsible? How can they impact and fill the sales pipeline? What's happening in the sales conversation? What is the definition of success? All of these conversations can ignite ideas, alignment, support, clarity, technology optimizations, improvement in messaging, improvement in everything, but only if the teams are aligned. So I want to see a healthy cadence of sales and marketing collaboration. Now I'm going to go back to that idea about you might have hired a young marketer. Good. They're brilliant. They're talented. They might be an amazing specialist, but if you have a very senior vice president of sales, this is going to be a potentially lopsided scenario for alignment. So we need to be thinking culturally, and we also need to be helping that VP of sales make sure that they are informing and mentoring and really aligning with marketing, and not just assuming that because of the huge discrepancy in years of experience that they can't be both bringing unified value to the organization. I mentioned this one earlier, so I won't dive too much into it, but if you only have one marketer in your entire company, it probably means there's no mentorship going on. Are you activating opportunities for them to learn from someone? Are you investing in courses? Are you investing in personal development? Because if you're not, and you've got somebody really talented, they will leave because they're not growing. If you're not, and you don't have somebody who is a natural learner, they will stay, and they will not be driving the most bleeding edge tactics and the things that are game changing. Hello, AI, right? And they're going to stay. And then you're stuck with someone who has had zero professional development poured into them. This is not healthy for anyone. And I definitely don't want that for your young talent in your team. Okay. Couple final things. I'm just going to tell the truth. I mentioned this a little bit about what colleges are and are not teaching marketers. I don't know, because it's been a hot minute, but I am hiring a lot of young marketers, and almost all of them learned their critical skills on their own. So did I. And that was 30 years ago. Everything I've learned about marketing and everything that my amazing, talented marketing team has learned was on their own. All marketers are challenged to figure it out. Now, there is an aspect because of the pace of change where that is appropriate, and that's just the nature of the game. And that's cool because those are the kind of vibrant personalities and skill sets that you're inviting into these specialization roles. Super cool. You want somebody that's hungry and excited about that and just naturally wants to stay ahead of things. Love that. However, if you are coming in and you're hiring, and I see this so much, you're hiring a marketer no matter what level, and you're like, okay, cool, go figure it out. What? So you didn't set KPIs. You didn't clarify the value. You didn't clarify the alignment with the pipeline. You did not clarify anything about why did you really want and need a full-time marketer. This is super dangerous because you are going to pull them in 1.5 million directions, or you're going to ask the tail to wag the dog. Because if you did not give that marketer clear, concise, strategic insight about numbers, goals, and vision casting, and then give them the membership to be able to steward that and then represent marketing reporting back to the leadership team, how are they supposed to figure it out, right? This is a very dangerous paradigm that happens everywhere. And I can literally feel the marketers everywhere being like, yes, that's exactly what I'm dealing with right now. And I'm getting no credit for how hard I'm working for this. And it's time to simply be clear about what the role of marketing needs to be in your company, and then resource manage to the less important priorities. Okay. And then a few other things. Sales always gets the credit. Sales always gets the credit when it comes to quantifiable outcomes. This is inappropriate, and it's inappropriate because you probably don't have a scorecard that shows the clear handoff between marketing and sales, or if you're like many companies in business to business, there's a gap between the marketing and sales handoff, but the scorecard can help them close it and help create those unified conversations that really create this amazing high return on investment business development system that spans all the way from marketing all the way into sales, into a virtuous cycle of data-driven positivity, growth, and increased return on investment. So very, very important. And just be aware of that, right? We need to know the role of marketing in supporting sales so that we can celebrate and encourage the right outcomes instead of sales always just getting the credit. It's okay. You do get credit for closing the deals, but there's an entire team of people, or should be, that is making that happen. So there's no end to the marketing to-do list, especially if this is the first or second time, or if you only have one in-house marketer, especially the first time that you hire one, or if it's been a while, everybody's like, oh, I'm going to get them too. And then fill in the blank. Update my PowerPoint, fix social media, do more social media, finally edit, finally fix that recruitment video, finally launch a new thing, maybe get into digital marketing. The to-do list is endless. So unless you have given your marketer the title of executive assistant or company admin, that's exactly what they will turn into on accident. And that is a terrible feeling for a marketer as well as a leadership team when marketing should be driving revenue-oriented impact, but instead they're buried in a to-do list that has nothing to do with sustainable value creation. And now, the one I forgot that I decided to add to this. Sustainable value creation usually requires a budget. And let me tell you what I'm typically seeing in people's business development budgets. I'm seeing sales budget, right? Like all of their salaries, all of their commissions, any spiffs, any dealer promotions, any rebates, any of that, and then marketing, right? And oftentimes they're asking this marketer how much we'd be spending on marketing, and they might never have even seen the P&L, don't know your gross profit margin, and don't know the realities that you're facing. How are they supposed to answer that question, right? So that accidental imbalance on the budget side where there's overinflated budgets for salespeople, especially and including underperforming salespeople, and then a very small self-directed budget that the marketer may or may not have ownership over. Oh, this is just dangerous. You simply haven't set them up for success because of resource allocation connected to KPIs and understanding, are you investing in regards to your total business development system? Are you investing in the right things? So there's my list on why are marketers really frustrated and why are they getting burned out. But don't worry, Now let's go ahead and shift into what the heck do we do about it? Because I've got a whole bunch of specifics that I really want you to hear me out on and to take practical baby steps immediately towards fixing this problem. For this section, I'm going to take the perspective of mentor to mentee for a marketer. But if you're a leader, I want you to hang out on this because this is actually super practical advice for what you can give to a marketer. But a lot of marketers watch this show and I need you to get out of hell and start getting some tools in your hands on how you can help yourself and thus help your organization in a sane and healthy approach. Okay, so first things first, ask about the goals, right? We said that's one of the ways you're being set up for failure. Ask about goals. There are no dumb questions, and learn about goal setting. Read books on this type of thing, but find out how do people measure success, because goals are multi-layered, right? So we've got revenue goals, but are there separations and goals around product strategy? Is there separations and goals around profitable versus less profitable product strategy? Listen to how leadership and sales thinks about their product and service offering and how they organize the number around it, and ask questions so that you can start thinking about how do I understand what humans I need to influence in order to hit these goals and help them accomplish this. If you want more information in this, definitely check out the ROI, the B2B ROI episode that I did just a couple of weeks ago.
Hey, Marketing Blender listeners, we have something exciting to share with you.
Our traditional YouTube show and podcast is expanding. We're going to be doing deeper dives on career, technology, innovations, and the stories behind amazing campaigns on our show.
You know, sometimes we have these conversations that are incredible, amazing. They've got wonderful ideas behind them, but don't quite fit within our traditional model here on The Blender Show.
Yes, a perfect example of that is career advice. We get a lot of questions about that. We also get a lot of questions about AI and how things are changing and what to expect. And sometimes the best stuff is what we didn't say on camera. So this new evolution is where these moments get their chance to shine.
Think of this as our creative workshop, where we get to explore everything from breaking into the marketing industry to innovative leadership approaches, even interviews with CEOs, but all within the high quality insights you've come to expect from the Blender team.
And the best part, everything's self-contained. Whether it's a single episode on a very specific deep dive, or sometimes we will be even doing mini series, you'll be able to get exactly what you want, when you want, where you want it.
You'll be able to find this as a playlist on all of your favorite platforms, the same place that you already get the Marketing Blender Show.
Oh, and tip, there is going to be some subscriber-only content, so a little benefit for you that follow us every week.
So hit that subscribe button, stay tuned, and we'll see you guys soon.
Next thing I want you to do, and this one is so scary, and I don't care because you're an adult and you're a professional. I want you to ask for check-ins and reviews. Here's why. For so many marketers, we get buried in the to-do list, like I mentioned, but you need to hear what they believe value actually is and value creation and what they really prioritize, and not only be caught off guard in the Q&A session that sometimes feels like being on the firing line when you're doing executive reporting, right? So I want you asking for reviews and check-ins early, and then believe them, and more importantly, write it down. Write it down so you're not set up for failure. Simply have a document that's like, this is what I was told is important, and then make sure that on your calendar and on your to-do list, you're aligning and prioritizing those things. And so then when you come back and ask for your follow-up check-in review, you can start and should start the meeting with, this is what we talked about last time, right? And you start to own the narrative. Or if you keep open-ended questions at the beginning, then you have a comparison that you can bring up in that meeting, where if their priorities have changed, you can compare it and contrast it to the previous meeting, and then ask wholehearted, open, and courageous questions about, why have the priorities changed? What can I do about it? It's start getting aligned with the business thinking and the business cadence that they might be accidentally leaving you out of. Next, talk to sales. Talk to sales. Ask them if they use a CRM to see their dashboards. Ask them to talk to you about what their day-to-day is. Ask them about common conversations. Just do check-ins so that you could kind of understand how your work needs to dovetail into how they see it. Now, trust but verify. And what I mean by that is, don't forget, sales has a different role than you do. So these meetings do not need to change into what they think you should be doing, because you are trying to create a sales meeting, not navigate a sales meeting. So those are different roles and different messaging. However, I do want you thinking and learning, how does your messaging, your tactics, your strategies lead into live sales conversations? So talk to sales. It's amazing the cool ideas that you will come up with when you start building those relationships across the bridge. Okay, next one. Now, this is so important. Document your successes. Do it. Do it for you. Marketing is very overwhelming. We already mentioned that the to-do list is endless. I want you building a brag book. Now, successes can be got this out the door, learned this thing, launched this thing, built a system, built an automation, set up an entire social media network that had never existed before. And it can and also should mean quantified outcomes. Quantified. I'm not advising you to build a resume because you need to leave the company, but we'll talk about that in a second, whether or not you should. But you need to constantly be advocating for yourself and understanding, because this portfolio is what you're learning. It's where you're building true specialization and true mastery, and two things need to happen. Is it where you want to be? Are those the skill sets that you want? Are there gaps there? Or are there things that you're working hard on but getting very little successes or very little accolades for? The other thing is, I really do want you going back and looking at this. It can be a beat down when you're responsible for revenue growth. This is for both salespeople as well as marketers. And you need opportunities to remember what you're great at and what value you really have created. So I want you creating some version of a brag book. I don't care if it's just in a G Drive folder or if you're literally printing things out because you like tangible examples. I don't care if you're making sticky notes anytime somebody gives you a compliment or you're printing emails. Create your brag book and allow it to speak to you about your own career. Okay, I mentioned quantitative successes. Guess what? I want you to build a scorecard. I do. I don't want you to wait for your boss to build a scorecard. I'm not talking about a HubSpot dashboard. I'm not talking about something complicated. I'm talking about going through all of those conversations and figuring out, what do you know? What do you not know? What do you believe you're held accountable for? And what are the outcomes that you're driving? This is a truth-telling opportunity for you. Number one, and are you advancing strategically in your career? Most marketers don't love the numbers side of marketing, but guess what? It's a game changer when you allow yourself the permission and even the vulnerability to begin to get better and better at the strategic, financial, and numerical side of business. I want you to build a scorecard, and I do want you to make it visible to any leadership advocates that you have so that they can teach you and that you can learn from this. This is also amazing for your career and amazing for your point of view and going up in the value ladder, but I do want you building a scorecard. And take it from me, we build scorecards for dozens and dozens of companies every single quarter. It doesn't have to be fancy. This does not have to be business intelligence dashboards. Grab a spreadsheet, figure out what you need to know and what you don't know and what you do know, and just start filling the scorecard out month after month, and then asking yourself questions about, what does the data say to you? We've got another data podcast, so you could check that one out for help on your scorecard, or you can ping me for some advice or specific questions, and we'll answer them on this podcast potentially for you. Okay. So in addition to the scorecard, I just want you learning. I've kind of hinted at this one, but be aware of what resources do you need? What courses do you need? What conferences do you want to go? Where are you going to get better, especially if you're lacking marketing mentorship inside of your company? And then I want you to go ask for it. You personally might think, oh my gosh, an $899 course is outrageous. But for a corporate organization, if they've got a talented person that is responsible for something important, $899 is a drop in the bucket to keep you happy and to keep you driving value. Do not bring your personal money hangups to the corporate table when they could be investing in you. It's good for you and it's good for them. So figure out and always be a learner. I've mentioned this earlier. The pace of change is the fastest in marketing amongst all business masteries. You better be a learner or this is going to outpace you, right? So a little bit of food for thought. Final one, and then I've got a super important bucket of personal advice I need to give you in order to make sure that this sticks, in order to make sure that you have the career or bosses, that you have the marketer of your dreams, right? So I'm going to dive into that, but I've got a really, really important one for marketers about what you need to learn and what you can do right now. I need you to learn to present like an executive. This means managing up. And this is something you should be doing early and often and constantly getting better at it. The order in which you present information is absolutely critical. It doesn't matter how much time you took on a PowerPoint deck or how much time you took on charts and graphs. If you don't own a narrative that the finance team and the leadership team are going to understand and be able to track, what's going to happen. You start presenting and they start interrupting you. What about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? And it's like a bunch of piranhas just eating all of your hard work and just killing your marketing soul, right? I see this all the time. Learn how to present like an executive. Here's how we do it. Number one, you state the goals that they gave you. You use their exact words. I don't care if you had to pull inferences or if these are documented strategic goals set out for the entire company. You state the goals. If they are broad goals, I want that. And then I want the second one, how that applies to marketing. So marketing's personal goals. Executives need to be able to see that what you're working on rolled up to what they said was important. And we start there. So many of you guys try to finish there. You already lost the audience if you didn't tell them what they wanted to hear. So you tell them what they said, then you back it into how does marketing help achieve those goals and how does that direct what I'm working on, okay? Then you need to simplify what you're working on. Bucket, 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 bucket. So it might be lead source, lead source, lead source, lead source, or something, but it needs to have direct correlation. And I want you to oversimplify from a big picture perspective. Do not get into details too early. Then take each bucket and talk about the outcomes. Outcomes should be numeric when possible, but they can be narrative or subjective or quantitative, in nature. So you need to be taking the buckets you just outlined and then saying, did it work? Did it not? And what am I going to do about it? Right? So don't be scared when something doesn't work. If you say, we tried this and this is what we learned and it didn't perform how we anticipated, that's a position of strength, integrity, and insane trustworthiness that executives do appreciate, and then they believe you when you say, and now here's what I'm going to go do about it, right? So what happened? And then what am I going to do about it? And so always end on where do we go from here? And again, what do you expect to see? So that order is incredibly, incredibly important. And make sure that you're listening to the kind of questions that you've been asked in the past, because that will inform you about what they care about. Put what they care about at the top and then delineate it and support, the work that you've been doing in order to achieve their goals. That's what you were hired for, was to achieve their strategic initiatives. Don't lose sight of that. Now for even more truth telling for you that I really, really need you as a marketer to hear me on. So I gave you some specific tactical things, both why you're set up for failure and how to get out of that scenario. And so now I need to talk to you about you. So many marketing personalities are doers. Like, we're getting in there and we're learning and we're hustling, but you cannot maintain a cadence of too much. If you say yes to everything, then you are telling a story that nothing has significant value and that there is no prioritization. I hate to say this, but the more you do does not earn you. I hate to say this, but just because you do more does not mean you earn more, nor does it mean that you earn more brownie points. So having a framework that we've been talking about where you can align to the goals, where you can get mentorship and reviews to make sure that you're focusing on the right things. And then in your reporting, you can align your decisions, or even in a day-to-day standpoint, say, well, you said this is priority. Now you're asking for this. Help me decide what's more important, and let's change some deadlines here. That's a position of strength. Saying yes to everything will only burn you out and will eventually cause you to quit, which harms the organization because they're going to lose you and they don't want that. So being that people pleaser type of personality, and I've been there, but that does not get you what you need, nor what you want, nor what fulfills you, nor why you went into marketing. It was not to do a little bit of everything for everyone for no reason, right? It's a terrible scenario to be in. Second of all, I need you, and this is kind of on the backside of this, to start learning boundaries at work. I do want you to be more strategic around how do you use your time? How do you ask for resources? How do you report? How do you say yes to things? How do you say no to things? There are so many great books out there about boundaries, and this is absolutely critical. Do the work that you need. This is not natural to everybody, and especially if you work with a very directive or impatient leader. This is critical for your ability to really hold your own and turn into a future marketing leader, a future revenue leader. But the earlier that you learn this, the more dramatically that you can drive value and that you can drive significance inside of your own work. Learn about communication patterns and personality traits and how to communicate internally. It will benefit your work as a marketer, especially in messaging. But I mentioned managing up earlier, and this is so critical. Most of your bosses have a very different communication style and different personality and even patience level than you do. And you need to learn how to speak in a way that helps them listen and helps them respect you. That is your responsibility. Or if you have an extremely analytical leader or team member, you need to learn how to speak in a way that they can relate and resonate with. After all, you went into marketing in order to study and master the science and the art of influencing humans. Start with the humans right in front of you. Okay, couple more things. Pay attention to the culture of your organization. If you've tried to get clarity and you've tried to get mentorship and you're trying to align with prioritizations and it is just chaos and madness and angst all the time, is it you or is it the corporate culture? If it is the corporate culture, all paths lead to either your burnout or you're leaving. And if you are in a toxic corporate culture, you need to leave sooner rather than later. So I am not an advocate for bailing just because things aren't easy or just because things aren't perfect. Things not being perfect and things not being easy will absolutely turn you into the leader and the professional that you deserve and need to be. But there are scenarios, and marketers have a tendency to hang out in them a little bit too long, where it's the culture that's the beat down and you're never going to get what you need in order to drive true value. So be aware on that component. And lastly, in addition to seeing the value that you're trying to create inside of your role, I want you to see where you are in your career journey. Even if you are one of those really amazing, lucky people that gets to stay with an amazing and lucky company, for 10, 15, 20 years, you're at a very specific point in your career trajectory. Where do you need to go to? Where do you want to be? Are you being given things that are your highest and best use? Are you starting to wallow? Are you missing things that can progress you, right? Make sure you know and make sure that you're stewarding your own career. It's good for you and it's good for those that hire you. And really, this is about creating your own brand, right? And you do that every single day, but you can't do that without doing the work. You need to be paying attention to where you drive value. You need to be paying attention to that brag book, and you need to be paying attention to the things that you've learned and how you've grown so that you understand the narrative and then can advocate in your own career for this. Trust me, your boss wants you progressing. You want you progressing. Don't leave it as a side note that you only think about when you get burned out and you decide to quit and you have to update your resume. Super inappropriate. I want you as the captain of your own destiny every single day, bad day or good day, but thinking about it. And this takes a perspective of learning. It takes a growth mindset, and it takes a decision to think into the future and say, what do I need? How can I grow? How do I drive increasing value? Because when you drive increasing value for other people, it feels amazing. And ironically, it drives increased value for you, not only from fun and joy and satisfaction in your day-to-day work, but also in your paycheck. So, you guys, being a B2B marketer is not easy. It's not for the faint of heart. So if you watch this, bravo to you, because you've already got what it takes and you're already hungry to be successful with this and to change the game on why is it so hard to be this. But remember, as a marketer, you are stewarding the honor of the work that your organization does. You're stewarding the culture and what's represented outside of the walls. You get to steward pipeline and opportunities, and you get to help prospects figure out the resources that they need in order to progress in their own companies, in their own careers, and in their life in general. Being a marketer is so satisfying. So don't let the day-to-day busyness and these super common pitfalls erode everything that you are meant to be. I believe in your potential. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for hanging out with me. And I really, really welcome your comments, your questions, or if you're looking for resources, please let me know so I can give those to you, because the world needs more of us. Onward and upward.